All right, so one of the more difficult things about doing a rear diffuser that doesn't exist off the shelf is you gotta be creative. I am trying to figure out a look of a diffuser that goes well with the DNA of the second gen Firebird whole back area. So what I'm doing is, so since this has a Camaro rear end, tail lights that is, with a rear bumper and tail light panel, it has this bend in it. Bing, 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 right? Goes like that across the bottom. I'm trying to play off that to keep the look, keep that shape, because you know, when you design stuff, you got to look at it from the back and see, all right, what can I do off the existing elements of the lines of the car and build outward, flare them, you know, almost like a filigree. And right now, this is my initial starting thought of how I wanted to do a rear diffuser, was to do an upside down version of that Camaro bumper, larger and more encapsulating underneath the bottom of the gas tank. So you saw that I had already made a cover for the gas tank out of fiberglass, and that covering is basically going to be the, if you look close, it's actually the foundation for the rear diffuser to build upon. All right. I don't know if this light is just glaring. I don't know if it's helping you see or if it's not. I feel like a police coming. All right. So that's there, and now trying to figure out the winglets. So this is in rough. Remember that. So these cardboard shapes is to give me just a little idea, and I can go from there. If at least the cardboard gives me a very strong basic number to work from, let's just say it's like let's just say that's a 5, maybe a 5.5 drop in this little fairing that holds the lower slat, that holds the lower winglet. Then I'm like, okay, maybe the 5.5 is too much. Maybe I'll cut it to like 3 3/4 or something like that and cut it up to here. Or being that this gas tank is canted, it bends down and then goes flat, maybe I can save for that space and basically get rid of this little triangular opening. But in some angles, it looks kind of cool with this like weird secondary deck up there, right? Because also one of the things I am going to do here in the center, I'm going to put a few veins there, a few triangular veins, so basically it fills it up. So you got the winglets, maybe about 4 veins, yeah, probably about 4 veins, and you know, cut them down through here. And then the other winglet, I may put another triangular vein in here somewhere. I haven't decided where above the winglets, but it really depends on actually after I get the profile right. So there we are at this point. It's sweltering because it's starting to get hot here in ATL, and but I think it's kind of looking cool, don't you think? It's looking kind of cool. Yes. All right, I cut it down a little bit smaller. I think it fits a little bit better, don't you think? Check it out. Can you see it? So, since I cut it down a bit smaller, basically it's higher, right? So it's a bit cleaner looking now. It's exactly flat with the sides, because the sides I'm gonna put splitters on there also. And the way that the actual Trans Am kit that I made with the flares, it kind of like sits just exactly the right height. So what I did was I cut, I think it probably was about 5.5 inches deep before on that initial test. That time I literally cut to where it's almost like 2 1/4 on the front and about 3 3/4 in the rear, so it slants upwards. Kind of works with the Coke bottle shape of the back end of the car, this slope, you know? So it's like the slope comes from the underside, coming up from the bottom. And I think that works better. So, what will I do with that piece? Well, I'm actually gonna have to figure that out and make a decision. I actually have this stuff over here, this airplane wing material that my homeboy Brian Fuller gave me many years ago. It's been through hell and back. I actually had it as the top deck of a skateboard ramp during COVID time. And it's taken a beating, but it would be pretty cool to have that airplane wing as the winglets. Maybe not the centerpiece, but the winglets, because it weighs nothing. I mean, it really weighs nothing. And back there, it'd be kind of cool. The interesting thing about this hexalite, it basically is these kind of like reinforced Kevlar outside, but on the inside is these little aluminum hexagons inside there, right? And they have immense structure, stability. It's really good. They use them for airplanes. So I'm like, you know what, that'd be kind of cool, right? You know, some true aero grade part for something, it's just regular street car. But I might take a look at it. So, yeah. Yeah, back at it again. Back in Black Cloud. All right, so I'm back on the Firebird's diffuser. And I think from the last little bit of layout, I think I'm pretty happy with how this is gonna be. As far as this is going to be the base of where to start making the stuff from here. So the overall dimensions are right now, I feel like, you know. I think stylistically it looks really nice. I've had it down, I've rolled it back, I've mocked up the side exhaust, because I haven't done any of those things yet, but I'm sure I'm gonna get to that sometime soon, and stuff like this gets pretty darn motivating to make that happen. All right, so right now, I'm still debating what type of material to make it out of, but the actual dimensions look really good. The proportions look really good. I think it hangs down tastefully, but not too understated, right? So it hangs low, but it doesn't hang so low where it looks so-so. All right, let's just put it like that. Yeah, so I think now really what it is, so I'm gonna take my measurements. I got some measurements to do underneath here, and the measurements are going to pertain to mating this shell I made underneath the bottom right here, and making the deck attached to the shell, because the shell itself bolts up to the bottom of the car and to the frame. The same locations that are attached to where the gas tank is, except it's past the gas tank. It's not attached to the gas tank at all. I think what I'm gonna do then, after I get my measurements, I'm gonna take it down. I got to make the final choices. But I have this metal sheet where it's essentially ABS plastic on the center, and then the thin aluminum sheet on the both sides of it. I think that's what I'm going to start with the centerpiece, and I'm considering possibly making this whole diffuser adjustable. You know, similar to the way that I would normally do like a rear adjustable wing. I'm thinking about possibly making it to where these little corners and stuff like that, where you can adjust the amount of cant or slant, the splitters, or what do you call it, the winglets would have. And because what's going to happen is in this area, now I just have this tape here, but really what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to have adjustable spoiler rods, essentially. Same to like how I do in the front. The only difference is there'll be two of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up inside here is the frame, and I'm going to tie it up inside there so where it's basically attached, where it's very grounded and very based into the actual frame of the car. Before I actually do any too much modification under there. That's basically where it's going to go. So imagine that these winglets can kind of kick upwards, downwards, maybe even forward and back. I don't know yet. I still got to look at what I have as far as material to. I have hinge for the little crease, but you know, what do you call it? I could always make something in the back end where it can tilt up or down. I don't know. I'm still playing around with that, but here we are, right? So there we go. That's where it is. Gonna go from here. Let's go ahead and knock it out. Now, I got the middle section bent up finally. Like literally, I had to do some Hulk moves. And now what I did was I hard mounted the hinges in the corners. All right, you kind of see them, right? So the hinges are now what do you call it? Panel bonded in between the aluminum shell of that panel right there. So the panel itself is stupid rigid. I mean, as rigid as it can be. You could stand on it, like literally could stand on it right now. I could put it on the sawhorses and stand right in the middle. And the hinges are embedded in between the aluminum. And then I'm going to put, I think I'm going to put some hardware through from top to bottom, depending on how it looks. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Doesn't look like much, but it'll look like something in a little bit. Ha ha! Oh yeah, there goes Grand National. I got the hood open because I was doing a little bit of maintenance stuff. So, yeek! Yep. There we go. Finally got the diffuser set up, mocked up, and I'm basically now having to find the final shape that I want to do with the actual winglets. The winglets are the little pieces on the ends right here where I have to decide the depth before actually getting to underneath the car a little bit more. And if So I got these pieces where they had a little bit more excess, so it actually comes out farther than what I was originally designing it for. With that excess, I'm deciding whether I want to cut like a trapezoidal end on the bottom, basically to give it like a little, almost like a notch spoiler that would be normally up here, but imagine a notch spoiler essentially there. So it'd be like out, in, out, like that. So I think I'm gonna cut one of them in the general idea. I gotta get a little creative again and see like how the DNA of the actual parts of this rear end can be a nice little finishing piece towards the end of the winglet. You know, for example, like you see this little like bop right here, and a little bop right there, and a little bop right here. Could it be a bop right here? A bop inside there? You know, how far of a bop? Should it be maybe an inch, you know, tasteful out? Should it be 2.5 inches? Really, I need to just try one and see how it looks, put it back up there and mock it. A good portion of people, whenever you do something on your car, you don't do a lot of mock-up stages because as beginners, they're like, I don't want to have to pull it down, put it back up, look at it, pull it down, put it back up. That's going to cut your wings before you can really get it exactly where you want to do it. You know, there's parts on this lower half right here that I body worked, and it's not even really even going to be seen. But for me, I wanted to do it because I'm already there. I'm going to pull the whole thing down again because I still need to do the veins on the inside underneath that little notch right there that dropped. But I need to get a visual. Getting a visual is a real solid way of knowing whether, I should stop this and, you know, get back to the drawing board. Or you're actually onto something and keep riding it out. But you got to be willing to pull it down, put it back, pull it down, put it back. That, if you have that habit, you won't have a problem actually thinking too hard about it. A lot of times this happens when it comes to people swapping an engine. They just want to slap it together, put it in the hole, and drive. And I get it, because you're impatient and you want to get down the road. But if it's not quite working, especially if you're doing a custom build and stuff like that, especially engine, whatever, you're going to have to pull it out. If you don't pull it out, check it, get it right, square it up, put it back, check it, get it right, measure twice, cut once. That's literally what this is. So for me, I pretty much had got it right. I didn't film all the times that I dropped it from the bottom of the car, measured it, cut, put it back up, dropped it, measured it, cut, then finally laid a coat of paint, dropped it again so I can actually be comfortable with the way it sits. It's level, it's even, you know, it works conducively with the body of the car, with the left and the right sides of how the car's thickness is. And yeah, so far I like where I'm at. So we're gonna keep going, right? So roll with me. Finally, after all that time working on that diffuser, I got it done. And I love how it came out. It's actually a nice dressing on the lower part of the Firebird, on the lower part of Shiva. And to be honest, I felt like that was the biggest thing it needed after the fender flares, after the chin spoiler, after the different modifications I had already done. That little bottom piece right there looks so good to finish off the rear end that I even made some side blades too to go with it. Now, the whole reason why I went through all that effort just to make it look like that is because when I design a car, I like the look to come from the top all the way to the bottom. It's almost like it's hugging the ground. And if it didn't have a diffuser, it looks like it was hightailing it a little bit, you know? And that was one of the biggest parts that I just had to answer. Answered now. One of the biggest reasons I made that diffuser was to highlight these taillights that we make now for the second gen Camaros. This Firebird, the Firebird taillights look completely different than the Camaro taillights from the second gen. I really loved the circular taillights on the second gen Camaro, so I had to implement it in this build. So what I did was I cut and welded that rear tail panel so I can actually run them. These particular taillights are just our second gen versions of the Infinity taillights that I make for the first gen Camaros. Our Vengeance Infinity taillights. Check them out. Those taillights are so crazy looking, like afterburners, right? They are literally our highlight, to the point that this is what we sell here at Black Cloud Battalion. And those taillights with the whole thing put all together, the final outcome just makes me super happy about how it looks. And most of the time people have to understand, when you build a car, you got to build something that you drive, something that fits you like a glove. And this car right here, Shiva, literally is another version of something I drive. It's all me, the way it feels and the way it looks. And it's very important when you do that. So I'm very happy with the way it came out. Thank you very much for rolling with me on Shiva's build. I'm so happy you guys tuned in this long just to see all the wild stuff I've done to the car. And hopefully you guys will keep watching and keep checking out for new builds that we're working on here at Black Cloud. I got way wilder things that I got on my mind, and sooner or later they're gonna come out, and I really want y'all to check it. Make sure you like and subscribe and do all of those kind of things like that. Helps us out a huge amount. And check us out later over here at Black Cloud Battalion. Peace out.